Welcome to the next breakthrough with Sean Campbell. My guest today is Skye Swift. She's the co-founder of Optimise Health and Business and is a clinical pharmacist. And she actually owns three pharmacies. And she's helping others as well drive their performance. So today she's working with high performing leaders to break those subconscious patterns to move past burnout and operate at a higher level without that internal cost. So this is going to be a different conversation on performance, and I think it's one worth paying attention to. So welcome, Skye. How are you?
Thanks, Sean. I'm fabulous today. How are you?
Good, very good. Great to see you again. I think the last time I saw you would have been briefly at an event. We were both in Los Angeles. I saw you on stage there in front of about 1,500 business leaders and entrepreneurs. Quite an amazing experience. You sharing your knowledge. There was some celebrities there. Everyone found your speech to be a good one amongst all of the presenters. So yeah, really great seeing you again.
Yeah, same. You too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start off talking a bit about your background. I think it'd be good for you to introduce yourself. You have multiple successful pharmacies, and by most standards, pretty cool life. You're there in the Gold Coast. I'm sitting here in rainy Melbourne. You're in sunny Gold Coast. But
So,
you wanted to dive into this optimized health and business. Can you give us a little bit of a sense on why you've kind of shifted your focus and give us a bit of background around that?
absolutely. So my whole family are pharmacists. From the age of about 6, I remember sitting on the counter in my father's pharmacy, and there was two old ladies going, "Chris, Chris," and I was like, "Oh my goodness, he can help them with anything." And so from that moment, I wanted to be a pharmacist. I just wanted to help people. So for the next 14 years or so, that was my dream, to become a pharmacist, and I got there, and at the age of 22, I'd walk into the pharmacy and all of a sudden you're at the top of the hierarchy and working with older people, but because you're the pharmacist, you're in charge. And so it was fabulous for my ego. It was great. And I was helping people. Honestly, Sean, within weeks, I was like, now what? Because I'd always been looking to that thing. I'd always been looking to that end goal. And now I was at the end goal. And I thought it would make me happy. So then I bought a pharmacy because that would make me happy. And then I managed staff. And then I thought, well, if I make more money, then that will make me happy. And I just kept searching for the next thing, the next thing. And none of it, like, it made me happy momentarily. My ego was satisfied. I had credibility, but internally I was just like, now what? Now what? And yeah, so it's fascinating that we often have a goal in mind, but quite often it is just momentarily. And so then when I was like, there's got to be more, then the next step found me. And yeah,
So there wasn't a fourth pharmacy you were looking for and like, okay, I need another one and another one, another one, not that feeling of doing that.
there would have been if I hadn't have got to the point of understanding and learning about quantum science, neuroscience, and psychoneuroimmunology. So I learnt all about how our mind controls us, and that blew me away. So that was the pivot point for me.
So I mean, what was the experience other than you felt kind of, let's say, unsatisfied? Had a great life by all means. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're making great money and respected in the community, owning multiple pharmacies.
Yeah, married,
And
healthy kids. I've got everything. I've got it all. But and I also want people to know that, like, the external stuff is not the ultimate fulfillment in the end, no matter how much you have. And so, I'm a great example that I do have it all, according to many people, but it wasn't that. And I remember 6, 7 years ago, I was in the dispensary and I was looking down and I noticed that some of the customers with chronic illness, they're not healing. So medicines definitely have a role, but they fixing all of it. And so I was like, there's got to be more. There's got to be more to health, and there's got to be more to life. And as soon as I put that out there, then quantum science and neuroscience actually came across my Facebook feed. And I was like, what is this? And from there, I learned through gentlemen like Dr. Joe Dispenza that we have a part of our mind called the subconscious part running 95% of our life. So 95% of our life, we're on autopilot and we're only conscious 5% of the day. So I was like, nah, that's not true. I'm conscious more than 5%. I'm making my own choices more than 5%. But as I continued observing, my reactions and my responses are actually coming from my autopilot, like my identity. But who created that? It wasn't me.
Yeah.
That's where I learned the subconscious is formed in the first 7 years of life mainly. So my autopilot programming comes a lot from my parents, my siblings, and society. How I should be, how I should act, what success is, et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, oh, okay. Once I started paying attention to that, Sean, everything changed.
Because if you start thinking about it, most people operate on Groundhog Day sort of routine, right? Every day you get up, you brush your teeth the same way, you drink the same coffee, you go to the same office, you kind of repeat, rinse, repeat.
Yeah,
But
that was
I think to your point, you have to have almost a bit of an awakening to say, you know what? I can choose how I want this day to go. Like
yeah,
I make conscious effort. It's not something I always did in the past, but like, I've been exposed to some people you mentioned as well, is actually setting your intention before you go to bed and also when you wake up in the morning, I think is really important.
yeah.
'Cause, before you jump out of bed, like literally spend that time meditating, praying, whatever you do. I'm sure you can share some of the techniques that you do personally, to set that intention for the day. Because if you think about it, I heard someone say, what is life really? Life is like literally right now, today. Yesterday's gone. Like we can't do anything about yesterday, right? And then tomorrow, we don't know if it's coming. So, in reality, you're always living in the present. And I think my exposure to Buddhism when I was living in Thailand and some of that, I think, has brought me more grounded because I would be very similar to you, I think, in the past, where I would say, the goal is this, and I'm thinking very far out. But then in my family, at least, I've seen, and even in my own recent history, going through some medical situations where you figure out that there's no guarantee you may not be here tomorrow. And I think when you face something like that, where you actually are going into like a serious situation, near death thing, or a certain surgery or something, where you kind of get that reminder if you haven't already had that in the past. So yeah,
Exactly.
it's interesting how a lot of people are just, I call them like zombies a bit, right? They're just kind of just going through the motions.
Exactly, which is perfect. Like we'll all get the awakening when it's ready for us, and it all comes in a different way that serves us. And you mentioned that we're like always living in the moment. So we're always in the present moment, but we're actually not often living in it. We're often living in the past and, trying to avoid the fearful parts of the past, or we're projecting into the future, like you said, something that's completely unknown. But often, and neuroscience shows that our mindset is kind of has a 75% negativity bias. So it's
Or
protective.
protect, right? Risk, right?
Yeah, because again, when we were youngest and all this was getting instilled, we did need a lot more protective mechanisms to survive. We needed to be good and pleasing to our parents so they would feed us, house us. So, we would really follow what they expected. And so, yeah, we have a huge fear base. Again, it's subconscious, aware of this. That's the other thing. So you mentioned choosing each day. The issue is it's like a fish in water. And you could talk to a fish about, living in water, but they're like, what water? They don't know they're in it. So that's the issue. We, even if I choose a better thought or I still am living within the confines of my programming.
So a bit of your paradigm that you operate under.
Yeah, we're all living in that until we become aware of it. So awareness is the first step, which is awesome. And like you said, you've become aware that you can choose your life moving forward and your thoughts. Correct. Is it easy to do straight away? Not necessarily. So for myself, being a really driven entrepreneur like yourself, I wanted a better way. I wanted a quicker way. So, I've learnt the meditation and so many different modalities. But one in particular for me has helped me to tap in to the subconscious level of mind and create change there. So that for me is just mind blowing and life changing. And, I'm a pharmacist, Sean. So like I didn't even know there was life outside of the chemistry book or the biology book. I just thought everything had been discovered, all the answers were there, and they're all in these books. And so I was completely skeptical. And even when I was learning how to change subconscious programming, I'm like, this isn't going to work. For starters, it was too simple. The method I learned, way too simple. For me, I appreciate meditation. I see a really good benefits from it, but I'd like to meditate for 3 minutes a day, not an hour. So I was like, how can I get those results quicker? And yeah, the methods that we use actually can access that level of mind in minutes, and we can create changes in minutes, which suits my personality and that of my clients, because my clients are all entrepreneurs, just people ready for more. We also work with, yeah, like celebrities and high net worth individuals around the world. But we also like anybody who's ready for the next level, their next level of more.
Mm.
We're here for it.
So what separates those that actually can change from the ones who kind of stay stuck?
Awareness and readiness. That's it. Awareness and readiness to move out of it. And also, you got to invest in yourself. So a lot of people, it's so funny. Some people have so much money, like in houses and this financial security, because security is one of the things we want as humans, basic survival needs. And some people have so much of that, but they won't spend any money to invest in themselves. Why? Again, it's the programming. It doesn't make sense to them, which is understandable, but it will come to them when they're ready. So I don't try to convince anyone. I don't pressure anyone. You're ready when you're ready. I wasn't ready until I was 38 to hear all this. People used to tell me emotions got stored in the body. They used to tell me about energy and frequency. I would roll my eyes. I just did not.
Yeah, that's that woo-woo stuff. That's that
Yeah.
Gold Coast stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So I believed none of it until I heard the science behind it. So I needed the science behind it. And now, you don't need to understand the science. We can just help people transform. And
So
it's,
let's have an exercise, okay? I come from tech like most of my career, maybe more type A, very analytical, and I know a lot of people like that are successful, but they're super, super left-brained, analytical. And the thought of, this energy and this influence and this universe and all this stuff sounds very, let's say, woo-woo, foo-foo stuff.
yeah,
How do you not necessarily convince, because you say you're not convincing people of it, you're kind of helping them when they're aware of it.
yeah.
How would you explain it to someone, let's
How
say?
would I explain
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Fabulous. So everything is energy at the end of the day. Again, I didn't believe this until I heard the scientific analogy that you can hear me because of the sound waves on your tympanic eardrum. You can see me because of your optic nerve translating the frequency that it's visualizing. And so everything is actually a translation of energy and frequency. Did I believe that before? No. But once I understood the science, it
Fine.
made sense to me. So just bit by bit, people will hear, if people are listening to this podcast right now, there's no mistake in it because energy, like, is the language of the universe. Therefore, the right people will hear it and everybody will receive it differently depending on where they're at, which is why I don't try to convince anyone. But people do get interested when they're like, hey, there's a pharmacist talking about this. So neuroplasticity for the left brainers is the best way to talk to them about it. It's neuroplasticity. I just do it in a really, really efficient manner.
Back to that wealth topic, right? I think in my life, I found that the people that are the most wealthy are not the ones that have the most money. It's actually the ones who have the most, like, I don't know how to explain it, but maybe open heart. I've met some people that literally have nothing. They're very poor, but they would give you their last bit of food. They would be sharing with you an experience or an openness about themselves, and that's like, so you could argue what wealth really means. Is it the tangible monetary stuff, or is it the actual experience and the human connection? And I think that human connection maybe is tied to the energy, what you're talking about.
Yeah, and beyond human connection, it's actually your connection with your inner essence. That is the greatest wealth that I have. I never had intuition or believed it. Like I wouldn't have, I'm not a creative person. I'm a science girl. I'm a pharmacist. I'm black and white. Maths was my favorite subject, but even maths, right? In year 4, I didn't like maths, but the boy I had a crush on liked maths. And I was like, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And then I did the highest level of maths at school. So you can change these things at any age. You just got to identify it, be aware of it, and then be ready to change your identity because it really is an identity. But my greatest wealth is actually I now know who I'm meant to be and who I am internally. That's the greatest wealth. So someone actually said to me once, Skye, you don't love yourself. And I was like, what do you mean? I love my life. And she said, not your life, yourself. And I was like, what does that even mean? And she said, what do you love? And I said, all this stuff I know now. I love it so deeply. And she said, what don't you love? And I said, some particular conversations, especially around religion with my dad. And she said, because of that incongruence, you don't love yourself because you're torn between, two different paradigms as such, or multiple, there's layers. And so I started becoming aware because it comes to you. Your next step always comes to you, Sean. That's the really cool thing. All the audience can relax because they don't need to be anywhere different than they are right now. The next step will always come to them, and it's always coming to them. They can't miss out. But if you're feeling something on the inside, pay attention to it and follow it. And so as I dissolved my frustrations around, the conversations with dad, as I dissolved those at the subconscious level, I just started loving myself so deeply. I didn't even know I didn't love myself. I started loving and knowing myself so deeply that I now wake up excited and curious every single day. I had not done that for 30 years. Yeah. So there's no Groundhog Day anymore. Life for me is now curiosity, intrigue, excitement. My intuition is so bang on. Like I know where to walk, I know who to talk to because I feel it. And that's how I live now. I follow my feeling. But here's the thing, people cannot get deeply intuitive if they don't listen to themselves, for starters, and if they don't follow how their inner feeling.
Give us an example of a client you've worked with. You don't have to say a name of somebody, but just an example of you have someone who's stuck with something, just to give us some context, right? How you would work with them. Like they're stuck because of an old paradigm, a fear, some baggage, for lack of a better word, that they're experiencing, and you're giving them like a practical a way to kind of shift out of that because they're willing, they're open. Just give us a sense of what that looks like.
I will. And the really cool thing is we have from left brainers to right brainers. So we have every mix under the sun. We're not going to do subconscious things or talk about spirituality with left brainers. Some people come to us for health. We'll do health and strategy. My business partner is an ultra athlete. She can run 100 kilometers. She can cycle 300, So we'll go science and strategy for the people that are ready for it. For the people that are like, I can feel I'm blocking my own next step, then we'll say to them, how do you want it to be? So we're not counselors or advisors. We're like, how do you want it to be? And so people start talking within the container that they can imagine, the logistics that they can imagine. And then we say to them, imagine there was no parameters, dream scenario, no parameters. What would you do? Because you can't go bigger than this if this is what you're thinking in. When we dissolve the limitations, then pure possibility is your new realm, and that's how we live now. So it's insane. We have corporate clients who are now just living life on their terms. Do you know what I mean? Like they're now running companies for twice. They're making twice the money, and they've got more peace. Do you know what I mean? So it's phenomenal. Some of it can be subtle, some of it can be really strong because when it's your subconscious, your autopilot, you're just now at a new level. We always have stuff. Yeah. We always have contrast, challenge, but that's just we need pain or pleasure strong enough to make us move the needle and move into the next step. And so all of our clients are going through whatever their step is for them.
Interesting. We're kind of living in an odd time. Obviously, there's lots going on in the news at the moment, but there's a big thing that's happening right now, which is AI, right? I talk to a lot of left brain people, let's say, being in tech and software. We all have an interest in what this is doing to our businesses, to corporate leaders, entrepreneurs, even how tech comes involved. And we know AI is starting to take over, or at least offering coaching and performance advice. So how do you see AI helping yourself either as an entrepreneur, running pharmacies or in your coaching and your advisory business? So just give us a sense of where you see AI kind of fitting into this stuff.
Okay, so I believe that everyone receives whatever they're putting out at the end of the day. So, however you view something is how it will show up for you. Again, that's quantum science. And so I always look for the best option, always. because then my reticular activating system in my brain will find the best opportunities. This is science. Your brain looks out for evidence of what you believe. So even when it comes to AI, I just look for the good in it. I just look for, it doesn't mean that I don't consider any, detrimental effects, but I look for the best and I use the best. And so when it comes to my pharmacy, we're so old school and family friendly and independent that we're not that streamlined right now. I have the most staff of any pharmacy in Australia. But also I have one of the most successful businesses in Australia. So that's beautiful, but AI can continue to help us streamline for sure. In the coaching, it can help with frameworks. But at the end of the day, it's so good to streamline things and take pressure off people. But then also more and more people now want personal connection as well. So our coaching is one-on-one. It is online. It is face-to-face online because people want that connection too. So I see them working together in synergy.
I agree. I think it's just one more tool in the toolkit. I speak to other trainers and coaches and people that are involved in sharing information or sharing a framework or giving some level of tasks based information. AI is really powerful to do that, but it doesn't replace that human connection and that kind of spontaneity, I would say.
Yeah.
Because if you're having a chat with an AI, let's say, and you're dealing with a topic, and I know a lot of people, I won't go into the whole, some people are treating it as like, you know, romantic partners and a bit strange, I'll be honest, but let's assume you're a business person, you're asking information from the AI and you're going back and forth. There's a bit of a safety where you don't have that I'm sitting in front of a human being and that I have to actually have a conversation and open myself up. You can actually shut the laptop and you can walk away if you don't like the answer.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it does take a bit of a blend between I use it for certain things, but at the end of the day, you're gonna get probably the greatest insights out of dealing with someone else and the energy and talking with somebody directly.
Yeah. And again, people will have in front of them whatever they're ready for the next step. And so when it comes to our coaching, for example, you said it can feel a bit intimidating having someone in front of you. That's why, like, people don't have to disclose things to us because we can do it. Just people can bring it to their mind and we can create the transformation. But because we have no judgment, people get everything off their chest. And do you know how healing that is? Like sharing yourself and not being judged. That was actually one of the greatest things for me, getting things off my chest from my childhood, things that I felt guiltful and shameful about, and just being able to say it in front of someone and them just going, okay, like, how do you feel about that? Like, because there was no judgment from them. So again, I got to reflect. And so that's how we hold space for our clients as well. And then they'll get to see how they're viewing something. I mean, I've been doing this for 6 or 7 years, and it's so cool to have someone else to talk to because you see a different perspective. And especially Christina and I, we hold pure possibility open for people. That is so freeing. And then we actually help them make the transformation to that. So that's just incredibly powerful. Like, and I think that's why a lot of people like AI because it's so reassuring and affirming before it gives advice.
Tends to agree with you. A lot of AI models, that's true.
Yeah, it agrees with you first and then offers other suggestions. And so, yeah, we're like, yeah, okay, I get that's how you feel. Would you like to stay there? Because Christina has changed my views on aging. Like, if you want to get healthier, like, I'm a pharmacist. Aging used to mean decline for me. I see everyone getting older. I see everyone getting sicker. I see all the medicine. And she's like, that's not my perspective. And I'm like, yeah, do you know what I mean? Because it's like, it's real for me. And she's like, well, it's not real for me. She's like, what do you want it to be, Scott? And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't want it to be like that. And so then we transform that. And so now aging for me can be whatever you want.
Well, it's about mindset, right? It's about the way of thinking. It's the paradigm you're operating under. Going back to your fish analogy, if the fish thinks the pond is this big, it'll tend to think in that pond. If you open it up to the ocean, then it understands that it's connected to everything, and there's a different paradigm.
Yep. And if you have a conversation about it, like if you and I, even if I convince you into something right now or show you a different perspective, 5% of your mind is taking that on board. The 95% will be resistant to it. It's subconscious. So Christina and I work at the 95%. We transform it at the 95% with people because that's driving their energy, behavior, expectations, possibility. That's effective. That's, better, faster, more efficient because that's what's important to us. That's how we roll.
So
Um,
entrepreneurs like yourself, obviously you have 3 businesses, you're doing this other business as well, it's 4. You have client meetings, you're presenting on stage, you're going to events. That's a lot of stuff for most people to handle, like just time management, energy management, that sort of thing. With entrepreneurs that are so busy, how do you not necessarily convince them, but how do you realize that sometimes slowing down is better than trying to do everything, I guess?
how oh, it's so easy, Sean. Once they start and do a transformation, we call it a balance. Once you balance the left and the right hemisphere of the brain and actually instill how you want to feel and be, then you just relax because all of a sudden you're now the identity of your true self and who you want to be. So it's automatic in our work. I have created my dream life now. How? Through the mind. I had money then, I had money now, but I wasn't fulfilled then. Money didn't make the difference. Not like and there's so many currencies other than money. Communication is a currency, connection is a currency, energy is the greatest currency. Like my greatest business card is my energy because you can tell I don't need anything from anyone else. I have so much self-love and only now I'm also starting to get more self-acceptance. They're different. So I can be in a room of billionaires. I can be in a room of all males. I can be in a room of anyone and I can hold my own because I just am love. Like I just am satisfied and I love giving back. So yeah, it's a beautiful, peaceful, and it's peaceful, but that doesn't mean I'm not ambitious. Yeah. That doesn't mean that, oh, okay, I'm fulfilled and it stops. I am so ambitious, but it's a calling now rather than a pushing or a searching. It's just a calling. So I literally don't do anything until I feel called to do it, which is such a powerful place to live from.
When you put the energy out there, whatever the intention is, the energy you put out there, that's what you're gonna attract.
Yeah.
That's at least what I believe. I
And
think
you can't fake it.
yeah. So whatever you put out in the universe, it's gonna come back to you in some way or connect you with the right people or make things happen. I've had an example of that. Just I was telling Damon I had something happen to me just this week where I was like, I really wanna do this thing, but I didn't really wanna spend the money on it, to be honest with you, and it was quite pricey. It was it's a certification, it's a boot camp thing, and I've been thinking about it for a while. And I said, I'm gonna do that this year. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'll get the money for it and I'll do it. And turns out I won a contest and it actually came to me like that way. So it was quite amazing that sometimes you just put it out there in the world, and if you have that intention and you have that desire for it, and you don't harp on it every day thinking about it constantly, but things tend to work out. I think the universe finds a way to make things happen for you. And sometimes you just have to let go and live in the moment. And then the things that are supposed to be attracted to you will at the right time. Like I generally
It's
believe that that happens all the time in my life.
all the time. And the more you believe it, the more you'll see it. That's the other thing too. People
Yeah,
can
there's one sentence. Sorry to interrupt. I want to go back to something you said. Like you kind of said very quickly, and I think it's really important for anybody listening or watching this. Is that you said your brain was a
true.
reticular? You said
Reticular activating system. Yep.
so that is looking for evidence of what did
What
you
you
say?
believe of what you
What you
believe.
believe.
Yeah.
Evidence of what you believe.
So anybody can prove themselves right to me because they will say, look, this happens, these are the facts, blah, blah. They can prove themselves right. I will prove myself right. You'll prove yourself right. Great. And then I just say to people, is that what you want to continue experiencing? Because I wouldn't keep trying to fight for that. So you will get what you think about, whether it's wanted or not. So when it came to your example then, you're like, I don't know how, but I will. You didn't go, oh, I'll figure it out how, I'll figure it out how. Like you had a peace and a surrender or a trust in it. That's when it comes. So the other thing is too, it's not necessarily like people often think vision boards, I'll put it up on there and then I'll attract myself to it or I'll work hard for it. At the end of the day, when you get inspired to something, it's there for a reason. It's letting you know, hey, follow this direction, then the doors will open. Yeah, so it's not
So it's decision and belief then. Is that the two
it's a
things?
feeling, yeah. If you're inspired, it's meant for you. You don't have to go and hustle it then. You can hustle if you want. There's a huge hustle culture, and I will support the nervous system of anyone who loves the hustle culture. But along doing that will also help them see what their beliefs are and why it's matching that they need to hustle. I now make more money than ever. I do less than ever. So you just described all the things I do. You made me sound so busy. Sean, I'm not busy at all. I'm not busy at all. I have the best pharmacy teams running. And what do? I love them and I support them. And and my business partner, I just talk and share, and then she facilitates our clients. We're the best team. I don't neglect anything or anyone, but I'm getting more with less. And that's what we help people do. Our clients are getting more with less. And Christina is a vault. So she facilitates our clients and she doesn't tell me anything about it, which is great because it's your safe space with her. So at the end of the day, people can go as superficial as they want. We can talk about business, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, all of who we are and how we experience life comes from our deeper programming, our deeper identity. And as we just soften that, it's like we deconstruct, we deprogram. We don't add things to anyone's plate. We don't give them homework. We do the opposite.
Mm.
So we are all about achieving more, understanding more, being more with way less.
And sometimes it is about letting go. An example for me is when you slow down, sometimes, like usually it's like in the shower, in the restroom, like when you're very quiet, maybe it's after you went for exercise and you're, cooling down or something. Those are when the ideas, the creative ideas or the inspirations pop in your head. It's not when you're like going 1,000 miles an hour and you're distracted by all the noise. I think sometimes we get so, especially in this world right now where there's like, if you're in tech like I am and AI, there's changes constantly, nonstop. You can't keep up. I realized about 2 months ago that the innovation is happening so fast, no human being can keep up with it because it's starting to become exponential.
Yeah.
So how do
Um,
you then find what is going to be the difference, right? I think it is going back to the human connection and the communication and the guiding other people through it. There's no way you can learn every software, learn every AI that comes out. It's just not feasible.
and you don't need to.
And you don't need to. Yeah, that's right.
Two things you just brought up for me. We're often rushing from this moment to the next moment. We're always in the now. So if we're rushing, where are we rushing to? We're just rushing to the next moment. Even when like Mark Burris was on stage at the Sydney Opera House, and he sold a company for $500 million. Like within moments, he's in a room alone going,
Yeah, he wasn't.
anticlimax. And he realized that the joy was the journey with the people. The joy is in the journey. We hear that, but guess what? There is no destination. My destination for 14 years was becoming a pharmacist. Within 3 weeks, I was like, now what? And so we're all rushing from this moment to another moment. Like when you get to that moment, you're still in the now. So no matter if you've got all the wealth and the blah, 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 if you got there from hustle, if you got there in a stressful way, it's not going to feel good. So how you achieve something is how you'll receive it. And so if you can find peace and appreciation for where you are now, and that exactly where you are and who you are now is enough, well, then that's a relief. And if I then live from that place of relief and appreciation, I'm going to now have an energy of relief and appreciation. People love that. There's always more to do.
There's
There's
always
always,
more to do. So I think it's about, focusing on the moment that you're in with the
yeah.
person in front of you, with the thing you're working on, because there is no guarantee of tomorrow. Yesterday's gone.
And if you're
So
not enjoying it, then
why are you doing it? Yeah.
it's not success anyway. So like, it doesn't matter if you're rich if you're not happy.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Sure.
matter if you're rich if you're unhealthy. That's the other thing too. If you're stressed and at a place of non-ease, dis-ease, guess what's going to show up?
Disease. Yeah. That's right.
Autoimmune systems. Oh, by the way, let's talk about health. None of it's an accident. Like you want to know how many people have high blood pressure? High blood pressure, hypertension means high tension. That like it's not your body breaking down, well it is, but it's breaking down because of your energetic state. Autoimmune diseases, your body just doesn't fight itself for no reason. but it does if you're fighting your internal self. So this will all play out. So this is why health and performance. This is the other thing I was going to say. When you said you're in your head and how can I keep up with all this? And, there's so much, my mind is so busy. As we clear the mind, clear the clutter, clear the programming, my mind is so spacious now, which is why I can hear intuition. And it took me to JT Fox. Yeah. My intuition took me to JT Fox's world, which I now have the most beautiful contacts and family within. I was walking along the beach one day and I had 10 more minutes and I'm like, oh, I just really want to go this way. So I changed direction, went here. A few minutes later, I was at a bathroom and another girl had earphones on and I'm like, what are you listening to? And then we got talking and she's like, I'm going for a job in a pharmacy today in my town where my pharmacy is. And I said, I own a pharmacy there. I gave that girl a job on the spot. She's one of my best employees. Yeah.
Wow.
Just
Yeah.
had this. So, and we are half an hour from where my business is. It's not like we're in the town of my business. Like that happens to me every single day now. Those synchronicities, when you clear the clutter, you have space, you can then hear what's meant for you. How fun is that? Imagine living in flow that way.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
my reality.
that's life was fun that way when you have those unexpected moments where you connect with people and something happens that's meant to be. So that's amazing.
Exactly. And you've got a lot of successful people following you. And I just want them to know it doesn't have to all be hard. It doesn't have to all be hustle. And I just urge them to think about what comments are coming up in their mind as they listen to me. They're like, yeah, Skye, it's fine for you, but notice all your buts, notice all your limiting thoughts, and then just soften them. That's the thing you can do right now. Go just find a better feeling thought. If nothing else, it makes you feel better. Sean, why do we want anything that we aim for? Because we think we'll feel better in the having of it. So if we can just find a better feeling thought now and feel better, then it'll just make the whole journey more pleasant on the way to wherever you want to go.
Right. It's great advice. Thank you, Sky. I really love talking to you. I could go all day, to be honest, but I really appreciate you joining this and spending time with me and sharing all your knowledge. If people want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to have that initial conversation with you?
Yeah, well, I'm on Instagram as Skye_Swift, SKYE. Also, yeah, skyswift.com is a really easy way to find me. And we've got a business website called optimizehealthandbusiness.com. But at the end of the day, just start a conversation.
Great, excellent. Well, thanks, Sky. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it, and look to see you at the next event.
Awesome. Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.